Hi, I wanted to make this video because I had such a great response when I posted, I think about a week ago, looking for people who use creativity in their work. And I've been able to interview a bunch of people, and I wanted to share some of the things that I've noticed that come up a lot because I figure there's a bunch of other people out there who are probably struggling with some of the same issues. So the first one I want to talk about today, and I'll probably do some more videos on other days, is about permission. So one thing I'm noticing is that, when I'm interviewing people, a lot of times people struggle with this idea of um, being authentic, like kind of being allowed to use creativity or being allowed to call themselves a creative person or an artist um, and having permission or licensed to use creativity in their work. And that idea of permission, I think, really a lot of people struggle with. It's something, that we really, when we're young, we get permission from our parents or our caregivers or teachers. We get permission to do certain things, as soon as or when we achieve the level where we're allowed to, use a knife or ride a bike. And then as we get older, it's other authority figures. So you get a license, you get a license to drive, you get a license to practice therapy. There's some outside force or authority that decides whether or not you can do the thing that you want to do. And, later in life, there are things that you may want to do. You get a marriage license, you're allowed to marry somebody. But then there are things in life where you don't necessarily have somebody telling you. I mean, you may have family members saying, do this or don't do that, but you don't necessarily have a specific authority telling you whether or not you can do something. Um, so, for example, one of the big things, one of the most creative things you can do is have children. So there's no, test that you take that allows you to have children. For me, in my life, I decided to become a single mother by choice. So I went out and, found a sperm donor online. It was an interesting process, and now I have two beautiful kids. But in order to get to that point where I gave myself permission to do that was really, really difficult. It's again the having permission may also come just from your culture or the messages that you get around you. And I was getting a lot of messages like, that's crazy, that's a terrible idea. And actually, it turned out to be pretty much one of the best things I've ever done. So, how do you get to that point? How do you get that permission? How do you give that permission to yourself? Um, One thing I've noticed, actually, when I posted the video last week, someone commented on my office and how much they liked it. And it's interesting because I actually don't use this office for clients. I have, throughout my house, I actually have several areas where I have kind of art stations set up, like craft rooms. And in the next few videos, I'll actually show you some of the different parts of my house. Ernesto has seen my house and he almost had a seizure when he saw how interesting it was and how photogenic my house is. It was built in 1850 and it's a Victorian house on the ocean in Connecticut that in an oystering community. So there's a very historic part to this house. And regardless, one of the things that the person noticed when they commented was, and I've cleaned it up a little bit, but the art supplies and, some of the stuff in this room. So, and it's funny because I actually had tried to hide everything in the room and tidy it up a little bit before I made the video. So I went back and you can see I put some art supplies out there because I find that for myself and for other people, having the things out that you want them to use is a huge way of giving permission and giving encouragement. When I am running a group, for example, and I put those art supplies out, people flock to it. And it's kind of like Thanksgiving. If you're a creative type and you see a bunch of art supplies on a table, you're like, I want that. I want to dig in. And there's a sort of rush of adrenaline. So when I have art supplies around me in my house and kind of set up and ready to go, I am subconsciously giving myself permission to use them. I'm not as much, if the art supplies are tucked away somewhere else, I'm kind of like, well, should I? Do I have time? I should be doing something else. I should be cleaning or doing something, quote, productive. Um, and when they're just there, it's really easy to dive in. So, in your own life, in your own practice, if you're giving yourself permission to do these things, you are naturally going to give or encourage your clients to do things too. So, most of us as therapists don't tell our clients what to do, but we may encourage them. We might sort of open a channel or set a path. And, this is a great way to do that by having art supplies out, if that's something that you're interested in doing with your clients, giving them permission, giving them encouragement to do that. Um, and again, all of this comes back to what you're doing in your own life and your own practice, your own attitudes about what is okay and what you give yourself permission to do. So that's just one thing that I've noticed over the past week. And like I said, I'd like to make some more videos, see if there are other people who can resonate with that, and see if that's something that's holding people back. Pretty much everybody, I can say, and I'm sure they will tell you too, everybody that I've interviewed so far has had some amazing, feedback and results and insights. And it's funny because sometimes it's before I even pick up the phone. Sometimes it's just the accountability or the motivation. One person said, it was just when she hit the reply button to my email, it clicked in her and got her, to kind of move on and think about some of the things that she had been putting off. So there's sort of that motivation and accountability piece to it. And I just really enjoy it. I have so much fun when I interview people on the phone. I tend to kind of see the same people every day, and so this is sort of a way of meeting new people, connecting with new people. It's really been eye-opening. So thank you for everybody who's volunteered so far, and if you're interested in scheduling, I still have some time left. I think probably next week I have a few slots, and I'll write some more information about that for you. So thank you and have a wonderful evening, and if you're a crafty type, get your art supplies out. Good night.